Rather than lads, welcome back to 99 Sport. My name is Cossy, and we're going to be speaking about a very special player. Arsenal fans, this one will excite you. News coming out. By the time you watch this, probably Arsenal will have finalized that move for Melo. But news coming out that Arsenal have agreed an 18-month loan for Melo. No obligations to buy, no options to buy. Deal still being finalized, and things are really moving on in the direction that Arsenal really wants. So we're gonna look at Melo, what he brings to Arsenal, how Arsenal could line up with Melo, the skills, and maybe what Arsenal get by signing in a player like Melo. Very interesting player, very interesting lad. If you look at what he would provide with this Arsenal side, and the lack of numbers they have in the midfield and the lack of quality they have, I just feel like Arsenal, whether with or without their full squad, they do not have a player like Melo. He's not there. He's not that. They do not have that kind of ball distributor who's able to dribble, who's able to get into those fine dangerous areas. They just don't have him, and I just feel like getting Melo could be the real answer. So let me know there in the comment box below what you think about Arsenal signing in Melo. Do you think it's a good deal? Do you think Arsenal have really done good business, or you think Arsenal should have gone for someone younger and on a permanent deal? So this is going to be an 18-month loan deal for Melo from Juve. 25 years of age. You just feel like that is the age. If he does well, after a season and a half, you could just sign him on a permanent, and I think 1 year and a half later he'll be around 26. He'll be making 27. Then you could give him a 4-year contract that sees him up to 30. That is his prime. I think Arsenal really looking at making very good business here. You could, if he doesn't do well, then you could just take him back to Juve and sign in a younger player in that area. If he does well, and that, I think that is what Arsenal are looking at. They're looking at it and hoping. We wish he does well. We wish it works out, and then we can actually sign him on a permanent. Right, first of all, let's look at how Arsenal could line up with Melo. There are a couple of ways that I've suggested and I've looked at, depending on the way he plays. First and foremost, I thought you could use him in that pivot in a 4-2-3-1 formation. In that kind of pivot next to Thomas Partey, because again, I've already said this, and it has always been my view. If Arsenal signing in a midfielder, it is how do they compare with Thomas Partey and how do they fit with Thomas Partey. And I think Melo would be that kind of very interesting player to partner Thomas Partey in a pivot. He's not very good defensive wise. Again, he's not that kind of very big liability when it comes to defending the ball and doing all this stuff. He's not that kind of very huge liability. He might not be that kind of player that Arsenal feel like is going to give them the defensive assurance Mikel Arteta gets from players like Xhaka and Lokonga when they play next to Thomas Partey. But again, he's not the kind of player that's that is going to be so much of a liability. He has that if you look at some of his strongest attributes, like we shall look at from FB Rev, he holds the ball, he runs with the ball, and he makes that he makes those runs with the ball very confidently. You can see him there. He's one of those players. I think it's because also that he's Brazilian. He just loves the ball. He just loves looking for the ball. Look at that pass to look out for Cuadrado. He's the kind of player that is very comfortable on the ball. So in the pivot, and I think Arsenal have been lacking this. He would be that kind of it would be that part of the pivot that moves more, that brings more progression to Arsenal rather than the defensive part, because the defensive part for me is provided by Thomas Partey through, and so you could play him in that in that pivot, and then he really does well. But also, if you do not play him in a 4-2-3-1, I've suggested that you could play him in that formation where Thomas Partey is a little bit deeper, kind of a 4-1-4-1 formation that we might see Arsenal play to against Burnley, or that kind of formation that we saw Arsenal, and Mikel Arteta use against Liverpool in the second leg of the Carabao semi-final. 4-1-4-1. It basically calls for you to have one anchorman, one player in a pivot. And I think Partey, with all his energy, athleticism, and versatility, really, he can give you that, that role. He can do that role very well, to sit in the pivot. What that does, and I think this is, information that you could use against teams that really play a low block, but also teams that need so much quality to unlock. Still the same thing I'm talking about, teams that really play a low block. So if you're looking at, if you look at teams that play a low block, teams that really need, much quality to unlock, or if you're looking at teams who have teams that have the kind of quality in the midfield, and you want to match their quality, you want to win midfield battles, then you could play this kind of formation, because I just feel like it gives you numbers in the midfield, because you would have Partey, and then in front of him you have Arthur Melo and Martin Odegaard. Of course, you have Saka and Martinelli or Smith-Rowe ahead of them, and then your striker. So you could play that 4-1-4-1, and it could play very, very well. We saw it. We've seen it a number of times. Odegaard playing with Smith-Rowe, and it has not worked out because Smith-Rowe does not have the kind of midfield mentality. He wants to dribble, but dribble as he goes out in wider areas. He doesn't have the kind of he doesn't the kind of mentality of picking up the ball and then driving in the midfield. He wants to drive, which is very, very good, because it gives Arsenal a very, very different kind of dimension and option, right? And then option 3, you could play him in a 4-3-3. We've had it with Mikel Arteta. He said he wants to play a 4-3-3, but he's never got the chance. He's really never got that kind of chance to play a 4-3-3 because he doesn't have the quality. Now, the question is, what and how much quality do you need to play a 4-3-3? In my answer, a lot. Absolutely a lot. It's not only quality, by the way. It is also on the on the attributes those players do have in terms of attitude, in terms of mentality, in terms of work rate. A 4-3-3 is one of those very, very tiring formations, because you're literally pressing and pressurizing all the time. We've seen it with City, we've seen it with Liverpool. Yes, it really, really does work out, but you need to have quality players, in there. So probably if Mikel Arteta gets Arthur Melo, it could be his chance to play that kind of 4-3-3 formation. He has a ball distributor in Arthur Melo. He has a defensive midfielder in Thomas Partey, and then he has that kind of player that he has the wise man, Martin Odegaard, to look out for that final pass, and I think it would be really, really, absolutely wonderful if at any rate Mikel Arteta decided to play that kind of 4-3-3, and I think it would be very, very successful in this case, because Partey really works hard. Martin Odegaard has really started working hard. You see him dropping off to pick the ball. You see him trying to help out when the team loses the ball and things like that. And then Arthur Melo, like I said, is one player that really loves picking up the ball. You could call him your Ike Gundogan. Picks up the ball and then moves it into those advanced areas very, very well. So listen, lads. In reality, Arsenal are getting a very top player. I think. Anyone would ask, why are Juve letting him go and things like that. He's not really got the game time he would have wanted. He would have loved moving into Juve, because it was kind of that swap deal between him and Miralem Pjanic. Pjanic moving over to Barca, it didn't work out, and then Arthur Melo moving to Juve, which also really has not yet worked out. Allegri as a manager loves him, but doesn't it doesn't really seem like he's going to be the kind of player that really plays regularly for the manager there. Massimi Allegri. So I think for me, Juve are making the right decision to let him go and bring in someone who can actually give them what they want. And also Arsenal making a very, very good decision by bringing in a player who is definitely what they need at the moment, right? So if you look at his statistics and strongest areas: pass completion 92%, passes attempted per 90 81.29 per 90, pressures applied 20.4, progressive carries 7.4, and progressive passes 5.5. And I think this is where Arsenal will be rejoicing and will be loving life, because they've been lacking that player. They've been lacking that player that has those numbers alongside Thomas Partey. Progressive passes, progressive carries, pressures per 90, and then that kind of pass completion, and then that kind of passes, that number of passes attempted. So you get him, you get Arthur Melo, you're getting a very good player. Whether he can work, whether it will work out for him in the Premier League, that is another question, and that's another dimension. But he's a very good player, and definitely if Arsenal get him, they're getting a quality player. His weaker side, obviously, is the defensive part. You can see his interceptions really low, dribbles completed, high, but interceptions low, blocks per 90, very low. Touches in the penalty area are also low, because if we could just move over to just for a moment, if we look at SofaScore and we look at what exactly his sitemap looks like, there you can see, he operates just there around, around the center arc between his box and his opponent's box. That is where he really works out. That is where he really applies. And I think it's not bad. Arsenal just need that kind of player. And Mikel Arteta, however conservative, the way he's so conservative, we know him. We love the kind of player that has the ability to hold the ball, has the ability to distribute the ball and not lose it, but also occasionally help out in winning it back. Arthur Melo for me is that player, right? If you look at now, if you can concentrate just a minute or two on this video, you can see him there trying to fall back, and I think this is what Mikel Arteta would love about signing him. He's trying to fall back. He's trying to come back to help out, with defensive duties. But also, you can see him there, picking up those very defensive, very deep balls, in very deeper areas, and trying to look out for, trying to find a way out. Because again, that is what players like Arthur Melo do. They give you a way out. They give you, they give you some kind of, outlet. For example, when you soak up the pressure, you need them. You need players to act as outlets. Arthur Melo is that kind of player. Picks up the ball. He can run with it. It's a way of creating an outlet. He can run with it, or then he can distribute it with those long intelligent balls, which he really doesn't do. Because if we go back to if we go back here and look at his dribbles, he has he completes 1.33 dribbles, and that is 85%. That means he attempts more dribbles than long passes. Of course, that is the difference between him and Granit Xhaka. Xhaka loves that kind of atmosphere where he just that kind of atmosphere where he just dribbles all the time. That is what he loves. He loves dribbling all the time. He loves running. So it's not dribbling really, but looking for those long passes and trying to pick out at least the player from deeper areas. Arthur Melo loves the dribbling, but I think Arsenal will be getting an upgrade in Arthur Melo if they can really use him the way he's supposed to be used. Let me know in the comments below whether you think this is a very good signing for Arsenal, and I'll speak to you right in the next videos, because we are very close, very close to our target on this channel. So make sure you do subscribe as well.